if you don't include women who participate more in economic output, then your output is much less than you'd have it be.
This is At Brookings, a weekly in-depth look at issues behind the news. This week, development and economic growth in Africa, expanding opportunities for women.
From coast to coast, Africa is a continent with great economic potential. Major corporations, as well as governments from China to Brazil, are competing for access to its resources and vast consumer markets. Yet African workers, especially women, are struggling. And if more isn't done to expand the role of women in the labor force and in business, Africa's growth could be stunted, notes fellow Anne Kamau.
Women do play a big role in economic development in Africa, but I must say that that opportunity is not yet fully exploited. Why it's not fully exploited is because women still can participate more. For example, in terms of employment, there are very few women in the formal employment sector. In terms of poverty, majority are still women. In terms of inequalities, we still have inequalities between male and female. Where you find most women is in terms of entrepreneur doing small-scale businesses, which are informal sectors. And then again, you'll find them in farming, vulnerable employment sectors like, agriculture, like farming, and in household. And those things don't really contribute to the economic output. They belong to the shadow economy.
Well, let's take a look at these shadow economies, tailoring, fishing, beadwork, poultry farming, things of that sort, small businesses. How can these small businesses help break the cycle of poverty that afflicts so many Africans and African nations?
If you have 10 small businesses and you provide for them a market, then they'll be able to produce and combine and sell their products. But now if you have 10 small businesses doing on their own small things and consuming everything, then how do you contribute to the output? It's about bringing people together and providing a value chain where they can send their products to the market and providing for them also with input so that they can produce more. And fertilizers, produce more, even if the land square is small, the land is small, they can produce more with more inputs. Better fertilizer, better rain harvesting.
What are some of the barriers that preclude women from really getting into the economic cycle in Africa? Certainly education is one, but there must be some cultural issues at play as well.
Yes, education is one of them. And some of these things, for Africa, we have cultural problems, or cultural issues, because education, it was believed that it's the male child to go to school, so the girl child is supposed to stay at home and take care of the family and the farm. So she was not educated. Again, she was also married early. Another thing is that a woman was not allowed to own property or land. She would farm on the land, but she's not supposed to own it. And therefore, when it comes to even trying to do business, you cannot get loans from the bank because you don't have any property, you don't have any collateral, because you're not supposed to own it.
And I agree that is a critical point, that if women cannot own property, they don't have collateral to get money to help seed a business, to grow a business. But Kenya, you say, is a little bit different, and the results are in the prosperity of women in that country.
Kenya has gone ahead in terms of changing the laws and the constitution. So for other African countries, it's still a problem. Women don't own land. In Uganda, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, very small percentage, almost like 2% of women own the land that they farm. And it will take legislation to change such. At least Kenya has gone ahead and changed the constitution. So women now can own land, they can own property, and they can access finances.
So one of the things that is available to help women is micro loans, microfinancing. How does this work?
Because of the problems of not getting loans through the formal sector, then there are microfinance institutions that have come up, and they're helping such women who are doing small-scale farming. And some of these initiatives are even like the US aid is doing a lot of microfinance institutions for the women entrepreneurs in Africa. So they are able to get at least small-scale loans. They're able to be trained on how to do their small-scale businesses. They are able to be mentored through so that it can at least grow to large scale, create more employment, and be more sustainable in the long term.
And the downside, you say, is that very often a woman's economic prosperity can lead to domestic violence. Tell me about that.
Studies have shown that when women earn more, they are more exposed to domestic violence. And this kind of violence can be either physical or emotional or sometimes economic. And it's not good for the women because it lowers their productivity at work. It makes them withdraw. It has some psychological traumatic effects. So if you're to continue to talk about economic empowerment, we also have to deal with what is coming out, like the gender violence and the violence against women because of economic empowerment.
There are now 3 female heads of state on the African continent in Liberia, Malawi, and Mauritius. This must really bode well for the effort to get more women included in this economic growth and development in Africa.
We have more women participating in parliament. We have more women in policy-making decision positions. We have more women presidents in Africa. So at least more women are participating in economic development in Africa.
Stay up to date with the latest research, learn about Brookings events, and search our directory of experts, all from your mobile device. To download Brookings for your BlackBerry, Android, iPhone, or iPad, go to brookings.edu/mobile.